Hi everyone, I'm here today in the city of Campbell with ChargePoint CEO Pat Romano. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you here, Pat.
Oh, it's great to have you.
Yeah, tell us a little bit for the viewers about ChargePoint. We in the city of Campbell are so happy to have you as a homegrown and hometown company, but tell our viewers here a little bit about what ChargePoint is.
So we are the largest network of electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the world, starting right here in Campbell. We actually have quite a big deployment here in Campbell as well, but how our business works is we convince businesses all over the country, actually all over the world, to invest in EV charging infrastructure, and then what we do is we keep all the assets that each of these businesses own for their customers or for their employees to provide charging in the parking lots on our network. So to an EV driver, it all looks super simple. They can access it, find it, pay for it, etc., all through a real simple mobile application on their phone. So we try to keep it simple for the driver and make it easy for businesses as well.
Well, I gotta tell you, it's a great sense of pride when I'm traveling and I see a ChargePoint listed, and I always tell a friend or someone else, I said, do you know where that company is located? Here in Campbell. The company has significantly grown since you took the helm. What's that been like for you personally as an individual?
Oh, it's incredibly humbling and gratifying. When I joined, it's almost 8 years. I joined in February of 2011. And it was almost 3 years old, very early startup, and there were no electric vehicles that were being sold at the time, right? So there was maybe 30 people or so in the company. A lot of them are still here, believe it or not, which makes us feel very good. I mean, this is a very mission-driven employee population. They really love what they do, and I think they're real committed to making a difference on all the environmental issues that we're facing that you read about every day. And we've grown it to over 500 now. We're about 530 people or so. We're in all over the world. We've got offices in Europe, in India, in Canada. We're really kind of spreading the infrastructure out there in a way that's sustainable, so it can grow with cars and really make people comfortable getting behind the wheel of a car. So, for me personally, spending time with my career, to grow a business is one thing, but to grow a business that actually has such a positive impact on the environment and how people feel about, when they get behind the wheel of the car, that they're not hurting anything. So it's kind of now a guiltless pleasure versus, being kind of a guilty pleasure. Yeah. It's just a great feeling.
That's probably part of that satisfaction and fulfillment that you can help lead a company that also has a great impact on the environment and has associated benefits accordingly.
Yeah, I think when you evaluate your career at the end of the day, you can go to work and do something really great for business, or you can do really great for business and for society in general. And for me personally, I'm now going to measure everything I do in my life that way.
Oh, that's great. Let's talk sort of about the policy and the environment in the state of California, as we're located here, and the environmental challenges that currently exist. We see that, for example, wildfires are the new normal, and that we need to recognize science. How does the technologies of ChargePoint help to build into that portfolio of ensuring that we have a sustainable environment in the state?
Well, I think it goes beyond the state, but I think from a policy agenda perspective, thankfully, the agenda is driven more at the state level than the federal level with respect to transportation. And utilities play a big role in this as well, and they're regulated at the state level or at the city council level. So the nice part about a lot of the environmental rhetoric at the federal level is that the states are still chugging along doing, I think, what's right, not only for business, but the environment as well, and it's wonderful when those two things can come together. So if you look at California, California's led the way with electric vehicles. They had the first and best incentive programs. They led the zero emission vehicle process where they got other states to sign on to stricter regulation with respect to average mileage, which contributes to basically lower emissions, and they've gotten other states effectively to do that. So California has been a pioneer in stimulating other states to follow a model that isn't necessarily is aligned with the current federal policy, and that's a good thing. It's really kind of taking charge of our own environment. If you look at California, we're an incredibly rich state with respect to our environmental resources. We've got just a great agriculture, great tech, great so many things. I mean, living here is wonderful, and to watch what's happening with our weather that's inducing things like wildfires and mudslides and all the other things where the extremes of the weather condition are really affecting us. I'm so glad I live in a place that's actually trying to do something about it.
That's great. Part of that is also ensuring that the state and the state elected officials understand where the environment is and where the industries are, to make sure that we are in partnership and helping to advance the technologies and utilizing them to have this common goal at hand too. A part of that challenge oftentimes is that companies and businesses or individuals in general don't like politics, but ChargePoint has certainly been engaged in advocacy. What is sort of that unique perspective that you have had to say, well, it's our obligation and our duty to also be involved?
So I've got to confess something, okay? So when I got to ChargePoint, everything that I knew, the sum total of my knowledge in terms of how policy worked, was, the little Saturday morning cartoon, if you're about my age, that, the I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill cartoon. That was about the extent of what I knew about public policy. And I'm actually embarrassed about that now, because the most exciting thing for me personally here was learning and understanding how you marry good public policy with good business. We have an incredible team here, policy team here, and they pretty much taught me the ropes. And now I joke with my policy folks that I've sort of maybe I'm at a high school level relative to them with respect to policy. But to sum it up, you need to figure out how to use public policy to set the right parameters, the right guardrails, so that new things that are right for society that need to get off the ground but are at a deficit volume-wise or experience-wise, because obviously electric vehicles, they don't sell in the same proportions as the gasoline ones that have been around for 135 years. What you need to do is you need to set up policy that gets businesses started, that gives them a little bit of an advantage if you know it's right for the long term, and then the policy has to figure out how to make sure that business doesn't become over-dependent on governmental support or artificial subsidy means, because that doesn't create a sustainable business. And I think what the state of California has done, what our policy team has been working on, not only in California but across the country, is what's the right structure for policy to incent the right behaviors now, but that doesn't depend on it overtly in the long term, that it's just naturally a good business. And I think, I'm pretty proud of what our team has done, and I'm really happy at what the state's done in general.
Well, I hope that other executives who might be watching this understand the similar capacities in ensuring that we have that relationship of advocacy and continued engagement, because we need that, because you are the subject matter experts in your respective fields to help provide that expertise in telling us what we should or shouldn't be doing is very helpful in laying the groundwork for the future. I very much appreciate that, and we'll make sure that you have a college level, if not expertise.
I'm studying as hard as I can. My team's going to get me there, I think. We'll see.
We'll see. How about talk about the capacity of also a CEO in Silicon Valley? What do you think is the greatest challenge? Someone asked you, what is the greatest challenge as a CEO of a Silicon Valley company? What would you say that is?
I think it's managing. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to admit that I don't exactly know how to do it, but it seems to be working out here. Managing the culture of a company. So when a company's small and it's real mission driven, it's relatively straightforward, because an all hands meeting is 2 pizzas around the one conference room that you might have's table every day at lunch, right? So it's pretty simple. You get to 500 people like we are now, and you're spread out around the planet. Only 300 of the 530 or so are here in our facility in Campbell. Then you start to have the challenges of how do you maintain your value system, your culture, you keep bureaucracy out. One of my favorite sayings is, bureaucracy is process's evil twin, right? So you need to put in process, obviously, the company can't function, but if you're not careful about it, it becomes over procedural for procedural sake, and then it takes the joy out of people's jobs. So managing all that is challenging. And then I think also Silicon Valley can impart a bit of an unrealistic sort of kind of success halo around companies, and I think you have to keep the company real and humble, because if you get drunk on that, it starts to form cracks in your core value system as people and as how you treat each other. And so I think managing that as you grow, but still keeping it fun and exciting, those are the biggest challenges. The rest, if you got great people that are motivated, right, they take care of everything else, right? So.
Well, I appreciate the time and opportunity. So you heard the insights directly from Pat himself. Check out ChargePoint, located here in the city of Campbell in Silicon Valley. Thanks so very much, Pat. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Evan, very much.